Hello everyone, my name is David Colon. My business concept is a Hawaiian style grill here in Brooklyn, New York. This is for people that have moved to the area and ran out of restaurant ideas. You know, after a while you pick a few restaurants, you start going to those restaurants, and all of a sudden you're tired of those restaurants and want something new, so you have to travel further to find those new restaurants. When you go to lunch and you want quick service, you don't want to have a full service restaurant because they might take too long. But at the end of the day, you want to be able to sit down and have a good meal and relax. Well, my restaurant solves those problems. The Hawaiian style concept does not exist here in Brooklyn, so this would be new, a new idea, something fresh for people to try. This would be fast service with many healthy and organic choices, which people in this area are looking for. For lunchtime, you can do order at the counter, so that way you can be in and out of the restaurant and back to work in just minutes. And this will be done with just a limited food choices, like about 10 different items. At the end of the day, you can come and sit down, have full service, table service, with a bigger or larger dinner menu and cocktails. And of course, we'll be providing outstanding customer service for your comfort. The market that we're targeting is residents within about 3/4 of a mile from this area, and there are about 24 to 44 years old. The competition in this area is fierce. There's a lot of different restaurants that have their specific ethnic food that offer just one specific concept. But I think with high quality food that is fast, that is organic, and outstanding customer service, we can have an edge. We are in the planning process, so I've not selected a team or have all the financials for this because right now we're highly focused on market research. Hello again. Things are starting to take some shape as compared to last week, which was a little messy, but here we go. Value proposition, some things have changed. Adding the organic choices, and also order at the counter for lunch, but actual table service for dinner. And this is due to a survey that I put out, and as the answers come in, I'm getting the idea that this is going to work. Limited food choices for lunch, so we can just have people in and out quickly. And for dinner, a bigger menu with more options, a little bit classier, and cocktails. And of course, always with great customer service. The location, still Brooklyn, New York, Williamsburg. This is my previous business model canvas. This is the very original one. The things that are in green were last week's changes, and the things in red are this week changes. The locals that I'm targeting are within walking distance. Here, you can walk about 3/4 of a mile, 0.75 of a mile within 15 minutes. People are willing to do that, and I'll show you some of those stats later, or some of those results from my polls and surveys. The population per square mile, I'm so sorry, it's about 35,300 here in Brooklyn. So with a radius of about 0.7 miles, I have 53,000 people in just that small area. There's a lot of new residential developments, and I'll show you on the next slide the map. And I'm targeting 25 to 44 years old because that's the largest block of people in the area. The tourists are difficult to survey. However, I think using the tent sales and selling out of a tent, maybe renting the equipment and putting it out would be a great idea to actually test the product as opposed to using it to make a profit. Great if it makes a profit, but at least to put the product out there, ask questions, and continue to survey. I think that would be a good idea. Here's the map of the area. I actually live kind of in the middle of those three circles. Those three circles are three new developments. These are big apartment complexes that are just about the same. Some of them are by the same company where I'm staying. So I would expect the tenants there to be to fall in the same category of income and so on. So it should be just about the same results of my apartment complex on the survey I did. If you see the yellow line, that is Bedford Avenue. That is a very busy avenue and is just 2 minutes distance from where I live. However, in between those circles, there's not a lot of restaurants. So that might be actually a good choice to put a restaurant there because there might be more of a need. When it comes to channels, the food truck or tent, I'm going away from that idea because of the survey I did. Not a lot of people that are local use food trucks or tents. However, they're great for tourists. They're actually normally located, the little festivals are located in tourist areas, and it'll be great to test the product with something like that. The way to go for me would be a storefront and of course delivery. And when it comes to these channels of delivery, I'm learning a little bit more as I go. Grubhub, for example, charges 5% to 15% on average. They charge 13.5%. And Uber Eats at 30 to 40%. And those are huge charges for Uber Eats. It would be better to start with Grubhub. The thing with Uber Eats is that the amount of promotion you get is great. But when you have a restaurant and your margins are 5 to 10% and you have to give away 30%, 40% of your food prices, that's going to hurt. So there are a couple of different ways I can work this. So far, Uber Eats does not seem like worth the value, but Grubhub definitely can be a good start, at least for the first couple of years to get promoted and to be found. That would be a great way to go. Customer value. So according to the survey I sent out, and just to be clear, I sent out a survey to the class, but I'm not using that as for my results. I'm only using the ones that are for my apartment complex. People expect to pay about $29.25 per visit on average. Now that's a very large number for most people. But if you think about it, there's a lot of people in this area that would like to go out in the evening and get a couple of glasses of wine and so on. So the bill per person could be $40, $50 easily, and so on. So $29.25 is just an average right now. Of course, this is with the information I have so far. This will give me for 3 visits per month. It's $1,053 yearly for that one customer. And if I can keep the customer for 5 years, that's $5,265. Now, it would be great to keep that customer for much longer than 5 years. But for now, again, still learning, so I'm not sure how long I can do that. Barriers to entry, of course, financial. I think this is for most people. Starting up, there's a huge investment. However, renting equipment instead of buying the equipment might be a good way to keep the startup costs low. Building rental is a big startup cost. A lot of times you have to put down quite a bit of money and rent for several months at a time, as opposed to just do your monthly rent. So still having to find out what that's going to be, but that would be financial would be the biggest, I think, barrier for myself, and I would think for a lot of people. And where does the money come from? Finding out that banks are not willing to just give you money. It's very difficult to do that, and the money I have is really tied up in real estate, so I'll have to sell some real estate and close some business deals, and that way I can use my own money. But for now, I can't do that right away, which is okay because I'm not planning to do this anytime soon. Competition is another barrier. Lots of restaurants that are established in the area that have a reputation, and they're actually very, very good. And just have to compete with them. And saturation, there's great restaurants and there's a lot of them, and to survive, they're all very good. I think the biggest barrier is just myself. I'm a thinker. I analyze things, so I tend to take some time to make decisions. It is great to be able to have as much information as possible, but sometimes you have to pull the trigger, and I think you know sometimes we get in our own way. So I think I'm gonna be my own barrier at some point, and but I'll look for advice from others to be able to make those decisions to move forward. Initial feedback, this was very interesting to me. It completely changed my idea of my product. Uh, the frequency per week of people, whether they come to a restaurant or order delivery, is 5.2 times per week, with an average expected meal value of 29.25. Healthy eating ranked from 3 to 5 out of a 1 to 5 scale, so on the higher side. But I actually expected people to do 4, mostly 5, and it actually was mostly 3 and 4. So it's good to know that you can offer a bigger variety when not everything has to be healthy. People are willing to spend 10 to 15% more in organic ingredients. So that's really big in Brooklyn and New York overall. So I have to look into that, put some emphasis on that. People really don't eat much at food trucks, and at least not the locals. 87.5% eat less than a few times a month at a truck. But like I said, it would be great for pushing the product, just out there and testing it out. 21 to 30 minutes for lunch is what people expect to spend at a restaurant, but they're willing to spend 51 plus minutes for dinner. So that's why the idea of having counter service for lunch and then actual table service for dinner would come in handy. So 62.5% prefer table service. However, I can see that if I walk around during midday for lunchtime, a lot of the counter service restaurants are full. So there's a market for both. Staff friendliness, I expected people, because I've heard it from owners, other owners in the area, that you don't need to be super friendly, but people do expect friendliness. 4 and 5 were the highest ranking out of a 1 to 5 scale. 62.5% of people are willing to walk 11 to 15 minutes. So my customers will come from walking distance. Alcohol availability was a high need, and good food was the top priority for people visiting their favorite restaurant. So I have to really work on getting good recipes and so on. So far, it's coming along pretty well. It's taking shape. Last week was a little bit messy, and I was able to use that information and start putting together better ideas to serve those specific needs or what people are looking for. So I'm very happy with how it's coming along. And please tell me, I've received some advice on what questions to ask or how to ask the questions, and that's great because it's really helping me shape my market research. Thank you very much.